Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine this complex legal and, well, political chessboard.
Mm.
Every move by a high-profile official, it's under the microscope.
Right.
And when serious allegations surface, the whole process, it can feel like a really dense maze.
Mm.
But what if you could get a kind of shortcut? A way to distill all the crucial info, know who's who, and really understand the charges.
That's exactly what we aim to do.
Today, we're taking a deep dive into the very recent developments around Vice President Sara Duterte, the Office of the Ombudsman, and this key legal filing that's making headlines.
And what's truly fascinating here isn't just, the filing itself, is understanding how this specific step works, this counter-affidavit.
Yeah.
It's a critical move.
Okay.
It could really set the tone for the whole legal battle ahead. We'll unpack the specific allegations, clarify what the different bodies involved, so you can grasp the nuances behind the news reports.
Right. So our mission for you today, distill the core facts from the source material we've got. Make sure you walk away feeling genuinely well-versed in this significant ongoing situation.
Let's do it.
So let's kick things off. The central event here. Vice President Sara Duterte, on Friday, June 27, 2025, filed her counter-affidavit.
That's the one. Filed before the Office of the Ombudsman.
And it wasn't her directly, but her lawyers.
Correct. Her legal representatives, Michael Poa and Paul Lim, they were the ones who physically submitted the document.
Okay, so this immediately brings up a question, right? Why? Why was this counter-affidavit necessary?
Good question. So think of it as her formal written response, her rebuttal to the accusation.
Our side of the story.
Exactly. It's her chance to present her case, maybe evidence, directly to the Ombudsman. And it's a direct response to these serious allegations about alleged misuse of confidential funds, specifically funds from both the Office of the Vice President, the OVP, and the Department of Education.
And this wasn't just voluntary, was it? There was an order.
Precisely. The Office of the Ombudsman had actually issued a formal order telling her and others to respond.
Can you tell us a bit more about the Ombudsman's role here and what exactly did that order say?
Sure. So the Ombudsman, you can think of them as the primary investigator and prosecutor, really, for cases involving public officials in the Philippines. A key watchdog against corruption.
Right.
In this case, they issued an order back on June 20th. It required Vice President Duterte and, interestingly, 9 other officials, to formally respond to these complaints.
9 others. Okay.
Yeah. And they were given a specific time frame, 10 days from when they received the order to get their affidavits in.
Just 10 days.
Seems quick, but it's a pretty standard legal window. It's designed to ensure, a timely response and keep the case moving forward.
Okay. Now, what adds another layer here and maybe makes it even more significant? Where did these complaints actually come from?
That's key. They didn't just appear out of thin air. They were initiated directly by the House of Representatives.
The House itself. Wow.
Yes. And the details in those complaints, well, they don't pull any punches. The House committee didn't just suggest looking into it. They recommended specific, serious charges.
So, going back a bit earlier this month, the House adopted a committee report.
That's the one.
And it recommended filing actual charges against the vice president and others in her office. And these aren't like minor things.
Not at all. They represent some of the most severe forms of alleged public misconduct.
Can we list those out? What exactly did the House recommend?
Right. Let's be clear. These are recommendations from the House to the Ombudsman at this stage.
Yeah.
But the list is substantial.
Okay.
First, technical malversation, which is distinct from, say, outright theft. It's more about funds allegedly being used for a purpose they weren't legally approved for.
Even if it was still a public purpose?
Potentially, yes. The issue is the authorization for that specific use. Then there's falsification and use of falsified documents. Pretty self-explanatory. Perjury, that's about allegedly making false statements under oath. Bribery and corruption. And then the really heavy ones, plunder. This is a very serious charge in the Philippines, involving accumulating ill-gotten wealth, usually above a certain threshold, through a pattern of corrupt acts.
Wow.
Plunder.
Yes. And finally, betrayal of public trust and culpable violation of the Constitution. These last two often relate more to grounds for impeachment, but they're on the list recommended for the Ombudsman's investigation too.
That is quite a list, each one serious on its own, but together.
It indicates the multifaceted nature of the complaints the House wants investigated. Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the Ombudsman track, triggered by the House recommendations. Now, if we zoom out a bit, This isn't the only major legal or political challenge she's facing, right?
The source material we looked at also notes she's simultaneously preparing to face the Senate impeachment court.
So, two major fronts. How are these different? The Ombudsman investigation versus a Senate impeachment. Yeah, that's a really crucial distinction to understand. While some of the accusations might sound similar, like betrayal of public trust or corruption, the processes and the ultimate goals are fundamentally different.
How so?
Well, the Ombudsman process, the one involving this counter-affidavit, is focused on investigating potential administrative or criminal liability.
So finding out if laws were broken.
Exactly. It could lead down the line to actual criminal charges filed in court or administrative sanctions like suspension. It's a legal and judicial track.
Okay.
The Senate impeachment proceedings, however, they are primarily political in nature.
Political, not criminal.
Correct. The House initiates impeachment by bringing charges, the articles of impeachment, alleging things like, again, betrayal of public trust, culpable violation of the Constitution, graft and corruption, other high crimes.
Yeah.
But the Senate acts as the court, and their goal isn't to send someone to jail. The goal, the only constitutional outcome, is to determine if the official should be removed from office.
Removed from office. That's the sole penalty there.
Precisely. So you have these two parallel tracks running. One is about potential legal accountability, the other about political accountability and fitness for office.
Which must create, I imagine, a huge amount of pressure, fighting on two fronts like that.
Undoubtedly. It requires navigating both complex legal procedures with the Ombudsman and the highly charged political environment of a Senate trial. Different strategies, different stakes in some ways.
So let's try to wrap this up for you, our listener. What's the main takeaway here?
Well, I think
You now have, hopefully, a much clearer picture of this recent counter-affidavit filing by Vice President Duterte. You know why she filed it,
in response to the Ombudsman's order.
which stemmed from those specific serious allegations recommended by the House of Representatives.
Right. And you understand the Ombudsman's crucial role as that investigative watchdog.
And critically, you see how this ombudsman process is distinct from, but running alongside, the separate impeachment proceedings she faces in the Senate.
Mm-hmm. This deep dive really highlights the intricate, kind of layered legal and political processes that kick in when high-ranking public officials face scrutiny.
Yeah, it's complex.
It is, and it really makes you consider, these different avenues for seeking accountability in a democratic system. How do these various processes, you've got legislative recommendations, administrative investigations, potential impeachment, how do they all work together or sometimes maybe even clash in serving the public interest?
And do they provide adequate checks and balances?
That's the big question, isn't it? It really puts a spotlight on how the mechanisms of government are designed to function when tested like this.
Definitely something to mull over as you continue to navigate and make sense of the world of complex information out there.